TikTok taking a stand, the social media company firing back at President Trump's efforts to ban it from operating here in the U.S. Let's get to Julia Borson with the very latest. Julia.
Well, Melissa, today TikTok posted a blog announcing that it's suing the U.S. government over its decision to ban the service in the U.S., saying that it doesn't take suing the government lightly, but that, quote, with the executive order threatening to bring a ban on our U.S. operations, eliminating the creation of 10,000 American jobs, and irreparably harming the millions of Americans who turn to this app for entertainment, connection, and legitimate livelihoods that are vital, especially during the pandemic, we simply have no choice. TikTok saying the Trump administration has ignored its efforts to engage and address the administration's concerns, but that TikTok faced a lack of due process. The Trump administration giving a no comment on this lawsuit. Now, as for the reports that Mark Zuckerberg warned of the rising threat of Chinese internet companies, of course, including TikTok, which prompted a national security review of TikTok, today Trump advisor Peter Navarro telling CNBC that Zuckerberg had no impact on the White House's decision. Guys, back over to you.
All right, Julia, thank you, Julia Borson. For more on TikTok's latest move, let's bring in Jefferies analyst Jared Weisfeld. Jared, great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me again.
What's your interpretation of this news? I mean, there's one train of thought that could be that TikTok is just simply trying to bide some time in order to get the bids a little higher here, and that ultimately it still wants to sell itself.
For sure. Listen, from a TikTok perspective, there was really no downside because they're really backed into a corner here. If you just take a step back to put things in context, the Trump administration issued 2 executive orders in a time span of about 2 weeks, first on August 6th and then on August 14th, both going to effectively trying to dismantle the TikTok operation here in the United States. So TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, based in China, basically was ordered by the U.S. government to go ahead and shut down operations within a 90-day window as per the second executive order. So from a TikTok perspective, not much to lose. To your point, perhaps it buys some time. There are obviously a bunch of bidders that have been circulated that could own this asset from Microsoft to Oracle to Twitter. So, when you think about trying to prevent a fire sale and buy some more time, there's really no downside. I'd also add, while I'm not an attorney, when you think about the ability or the willingness of a federal court to overturn something on grounds of national security, the odds are probably pretty low. So again, no downside, but certainly makes sense from a strategic perspective.
So, hey, Jared, does this, obviously Microsoft would love to have TikTok. There's probably others that would love to have it. Does this lawsuit now make it very unlikely that there would be any sort of agreed upon deal, between now and, let's say, mid-September, or will they really get the time that they need and try to wait this thing out?
Yeah, I think great question. I don't think this impacts the sale process whatsoever. I think if you think about the decision-making tree, there was no downside from a TikTok perspective to go ahead and go down this path. And at the same time, I do think it preserves the optionality to go ahead and perhaps get a better price on the other side. When you think about the bidders that have emerged, Microsoft has indicated that they are going to have a decision hopefully by September 15th. And as per press reports, Microsoft certainly seems like they're in the lead now. We've talked about this before. It makes a lot of sense from a strategic perspective when you think about the ability to marry in TikTok from a gaming perspective on the back end with Azure. I think there are a lot of synergies that make a lot of sense in terms of Microsoft plus TikTok, but I don't think this would jeopardize the process. I think it's more of I think it's just a very smart legal strategy with limited downside.
Jared, it's Karen. Let me ask you something. Normally in a bidding process, the highest bidder who's capable of paying would end up being the winner, but this is such an unusual process. Do you see maybe the Trump administration favoring an Oracle over maybe not Microsoft, but maybe over other bidders?
It's certainly a bizarre process, and to your point, I had a lot of incoming questions when Oracle was announced as a potential bidder, given there's no obvious synergy with their base business, except for the fact that the Oracle C-suite is very close with the Trump administration. So it's a very bizarre process. Microsoft certainly seems like the most logical buyer. If you think about the heritage of TikTok here in the U.S., it's a former Microsoft employee that actually runs TikTok. So I think there's not only is there natural synergy, but I think when you think about the culture of the organization, it makes a lot of sense from a TikTok Microsoft perspective. But to your point, as with everything with this administration, I think there are a lot of question marks, and I think the Oracle angle is certainly interesting in light of the political alignment.
Last quick question, Jared. Does the success so far of Facebook's Reels make TikTok more or less valuable?
It's a really good question. I mean, Facebook has had so much success in the past from a copycat strategy perspective, and that's certainly one of the reasons why a lot of the regulators have been down on their backs. But I think it speaks to the market opportunity more than anything else. I think TikTok has been so successful in terms of implementing their algorithms. They know exactly what their users want, downloaded 180 million times in the US alone before the user even wants it. So I do think that, while clearly you can't dismiss Facebook as a threat, I think the value proposition is certainly real in terms of what TikTok offers.
Jared, great to speak with you. Thank you.
Thanks again.
Guy, I know you're on both the Talk and you're also on Reels.
Yeah, it's amazing that I can be on both platforms at the same time, and I was able to buy them both at the application store recently over the weekend when I had some time. But what I find just the most, of all the absurd things that are going on in the world, the fact that now somehow the U.S. government acts as an investment banker and is taking a chop out of whatever deal is going to happen is just fascinating to me. And I say it somewhat in jest, but you think about that moving forward. That sets a really dangerous precedent, in my opinion, or maybe not. I mean, maybe they should be getting a 4% investment banking fee, and maybe I'm way off base, and maybe I am the okay boomer that Dan seems to think I am. But I will tell you, the government picking and choosing who's going to be in a bidding deal or not, that is some really dangerous ramifications, despite what Peter Navarro might think.